Hi everybody, and this is December's ornament card for you. You may have seen this one, something similar to it by somebody else, but I had a lot of fun with it and I thought I would just share how I did this card. So this is going to be the red one. It's going to go on a 4x6 card. I'm going to cut my watercolor paper 100% cotton. Make sure it absorbs the water good. 3.5 by 4.5, and then I can put it right on my card afterwards. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to use my Mailing paints. You're going to see I have lots of greens mixed. I've got my red. I'm going to go straight out of my red. I've got my clean water here. I'm going to start with drawing a circle. So I'm going to set this one here. Hopefully you can still see both when we do it. I'm going to start by drawing a circle on my paper. And you can barely see it. I keep it as light as I can. So once you've got your circle, it's pretty much center for those who want to know. I am then going to take my clean water and brush, and I am going to make everything inside that circle wet. I could have left this a little darker for you so you could see, but kind of follow your lines around and make all of it wet. This is going to be the wet on wet look, and it was a lot of fun to do. The other thing you're going to want to have close by is tissue. I have a box of tissue that sits by me 24/7. So now we've got this all wet all the way around, and I'm going to go directly into my red, which is wet already, and I'm just going to let it play. I'm going to go around the whole outside. See how nicely this little white stayed? And that was because I didn't put any paint there. I'm going to use two colors. Actually, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'm going to use this red, and I've got a darker red I'm going to go with next. And look at this. And the fun thing about circles is you think you've got a nice even line, and then you jerk out a line and you end up getting it a little bigger here, a little bigger there. But basically just try to get your paint where you had the water work all the way around. And it is kind of a fast, because you don't want your paper to dry. I'm going to make my brush wet to keep it a little bit more here. And now I'm going to just come and I'm going to force that red around, making sure it stayed wet. And I'm going to go into my deeper red and we're going to actually get a lot more of it. We're going to run it across the top. I'm going to run it right up the middle here. Kind of splot it around. Each one's going to look different. So this next one's going to look different than that. I want some along the bottom. Coming up along the side here. And with the dark, you want to make sure you get it all the way to the end, because otherwise you're going to see your light and dark, your other red. So make sure you've got your steadiness going all the way. I'm going to put one more dark in here. And then I am just going to, I'm going to rinse my brush out, and I'm just going to move it around just a little bit more, trying not to take or interfere too much with this white spot. This is a little bit more white than I wanted there. Okay, looks to me like we could even wipe a little bit out here. Trying to kind of get a, I actually think I want a little bit darker here yet. I like the way that looks like it's swirling. Just remember to keep some dark at the top and the bottom so that it's got that same look. All right, I'm going to pause the tape a second, and I'm going to dry this. I have to move my camera over to do it. All right, I'm back. I have got that all dried, and we're going to go with the next step. Now, the next step is where it gets a little fun. If you look, this was kind of a greenish, ugly mud color. Well, that is exactly what happened. So we're going to go back, take our clean water again. Now, we don't want to touch the red if you can help it, but kind of put where you're going to go. It's close up. I don't think it was under the camera, sorry. As close up to the ornament as you can. Not all the way to both sides, to the top, and only, as you've seen, partway down. And then we're going to drop. I'm going to go with the darker red this time and start with the darker red. I don't remember what I did the first time. And I'm just going to start by dropping that red in there all the way around. I don't remember the exact order because every time I did it a little differently when I've done them. And then I'm going to go to my green, which I picked kind of a bluish green. And I'm going to start to put that towards the top. And I am just going to let them kind of swirl. My goal is not to have too harsh of a line. This one ended up a little harsher. I'll show you in a minute another one I just did. And tried to do it a little softer. But now I want to make sure we mix the colors, and I don't want it to get too muddy. I want to get it all the way up to the ornament this time. So carefully push your water and your color. My goal was to keep it more red around there. This one looks like it went down a little lower. Now, if you feel like if you'd rather have more red, you can go to that brighter red that you had earlier, and you can just put it in. Back with some more green. And this is just kind of going to be your look. Remember, we're going to hide this. So it's not going to matter if it's not perfect. The only thing that you're going to want to make sure is that you cover right up to the ornament. That looks kind of, personally, I don't like to see the white shining there. I want that to be the background. Feel like it's too much? Remember I said take your tissue and you can start to lighten it that way. And I might just do that lighter color. I don't know. When I stop and see if I like it. If you wipe too much, you feel like you wiped it all off. Which, if you did, just come back with a damp brush with some paint, because this is not dry yet. And just add some color again. I want the red, if I can, a little bit more to shine through than I did on this one. I don't know why, but I want to try. And so I'm going to make it just a little darker to start here before I pat it one more time. And a little more of that green. Really gets to be muddy up top, and that's okay. I like that. And I might still try to not get quite the lines. And to get that, really gets a, you're just going to have to play with your brush otherwise. If you don't want too harsh of lines, just come through and with a clean brush, rinse it off, and kind of shade it in there. That's kind of the look I want. I don't want it to have such harsh lines. See how they soften down there? And even at this point you can, and if it goes all the way to the end of the paper, that's okay. You just want to get rid of some of those harsh lines is what the goal is. Like I don't like that real harsh down here. And sometimes it takes a little extra rubbing. If you have real inexpensive paper, be a little careful because it will rub off. Now before it dries, I'm going to do some splattering. This is splatter number 1. I'm not going to take a real big brush, take a little bigger brush. This one here is a number 3 I grabbed, into that wet darker, and I'm going to just tap all over the bottom. See, it's got too much water in it. It's a new brush. And I'm going to tap, even so it comes up a little bit here. And then I'm going to take my tissue and I want to blot it. I want it to be that soft color like the background. So if you don't feel like you got enough, come and do it again. We're going to come with the darker color later, but right now I just want the softer color. Okay. Till you get where you feel you got enough splatter on the bottom. Then switch, clean your brush out, and go to your green and do the same thing. It's coming out a little nicer. And again, I'm gonna just pat it because I just want it to have layers. Look, if you look at this one, you can see the layers. So sometimes you get it this first time too much. Okay, don't worry. Wait a couple of seconds if you have to, and just lightly tap it until you get where you want. If you feel like you got too much in your ornament at this point, you can pat him too. He's fine. I'm going to pause it again, and this time I want you to dry it one more time so it's good and dry for the next step. Okay? Now, I feel like the lines are a little rough around the edges, so I am going to take my thinner brush here, and I'm just going to try to get rid of some of those a little bit harsh lines. It's not going to matter so much there because that's and you won't need much water on this. You probably don't even have to dry it. You just have to have enough to kind of smooth your lines that maybe dried a little harsh. Okay? Feels a little better. All right. Now I am going to use the gold that's in my paint, and I'm going to paint the top piece. Let it dry a little bit more than I wanted. I don't know about you, but your gold likes to cover well, but you also have to make sure you activate it enough. And if you have to put a second coat on, you can. Don't forget to make your hook on top as well. And again, I'm going to give it a second coat there. And later I'm going to use some white to do some accents on it. Next I'm going to do the berries. You can hardly see them. I got too much splatter on these. I'll be a little more careful. I'm going to make them with the dark color, and I'm just going to put 3 of them right here. Pick where you'd like to set them. It's really not. I filled them completely in. I'm going to let them kind of dry before I put another darker coat along the bottom. And I'm going to switch over to my liner brush, okay? And I'm going to go into my greens. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going to switch to, I love to make my leaves with this, I think it's called a filbert. But whatever you like to make your leaves, we're going to do these few little leaves for a little contrast in there. I'm going to make them with an olive green. I wanted something to contrast. So we'll start on this side because they got to have a few by the berries. Make sure I'm not out of the camera. And you might have to put it a little thicker because it's going over top that other color. But I just want to put a few around here. Maybe one more. here. Wherever you like. And then I'm going to put a couple down here. Okay, we're going to have a second coat because of the red, but that's okay. And maybe I'll put him somewhere over here. I don't know for sure why, but... And then I'm going to come back and try to be a little more concentrated on my olive and try to make one side a little darker. Olive here. Oops. Okay. When I work underneath the camera, sometimes it's a little harder for me to see where I'm going. My goal was just to make them stand out a little bit more. Okay. Now let's go back to your berries. And I took that red and I added, actually in this case, I added a little black. Usually I add just another green, but in this case I happen to add black because I did that dark color and I want the bottom of the berries to show. And because they're going to get covered, they're going to lose some of, but that gives them that shadow underneath them. And we'll put white on them as well in a little while. Then your berries are complete. All right, so now I'm going to my liner brush and I'm going to take a little brown, no matter what brown you like. We got to connect this somehow. So we're going to just take a branch and I'm only going to run it to the leaf at this point because I don't want it in case it's still wet. I don't want to run it into the flower until later. I can do that later. I might have this one connect here, there. My branch comes from here. I might make this branch come here, under, and up here. So we got branches, okay? So there's your leaves with your branches. We'll put some stems on them in a little bit. Now we're going to do our holly, or not holly, we're going to do, you could do holly actually, but I'm going to do the pine. And it's back to that blue, it's kind of a blue-green that I'm using, only because I want a complete contrast. And we're just going to put some pine branches. Now this is layer 1. I always put at least 2 layers. Let's see, where do we want the second one to come? I made his branches a little high here. Maybe he'll, oops, don't do that. Sorry, too much paint on mine. Got it too wet. We'll come up, we'll fix that in a little bit. Come right up under here. You can go over those branches a little bit or over those leaves if you want, or you can stay under. Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to put it. There's no rhyme or reason where anything has to go. I like this one to come down here, so we got both the up and down on both sides. That's why I kind of went down with the other leaves. And we'll do our branches, and I think we'll do I want another one? I did on all my other ones. And I like to stay odd numbers if I can. I actually kind of think he's cute without it. I think I'm going to leave it. So now I'm going to go back into that greeny blue. And I'm going to make it a little bit more concentrated if I can. And so that we can get a second coat of darker on it. And I'm going to do the vein this time. You can see he's wet there, so kind of, so he's going to have 2 colors. You can get between them a little bit. He wants to spread down here. I like the little thicker to get a little more color in it. Okay. And the same on this one. Of course, this is not going to be realistic because I'm going to be using white. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. My leaves from the berries are dry. I can go back into my brown. You can go green, you can go brown, whatever you like, but this is quite dark, so I'm going to go brown and give them a little vein. Just makes them look a little more like leaves. Try to follow your stem up if you got a stem there. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. He's a little blobby over here because of that piece that went haywire on me. Let me try to spread that out a little bit. Trying to decide. No, we're going to leave it. I'm going to go into my black and I'm going to make my hook. I'm just going to come down straight over top of the, start the curve, but don't go over the other half of the, so it looks like the hook is underneath there and not on that side. Okay? Now we're going to do a little more splattering before, now we're going to do the white. You can use a pen. I'm going to use this Dr. Phil Martin's Bleed Proof White. It really is my favorite white, to be honest. With my fine brush here, I'm going to give my berries their dot. I am going to give my ornament some lines to this top part. Now, I don't know if I have one handy, but you could decorate your ornament if that's something you like to do. I am not going to. I have done that on several of mine this year. I'm going to do a little quick search in my stack here once and see if I have one that I can show you what I did. I know I had one. Here we go. Here's one that I decorated when I did 3 of them. You could put dots, you could put stripes, you could do something. I just want to keep him plain, just so you know. Then we're going to be real different, and I'm going to add some white to my pine branches. I don't know why, but I think it kind of looks kind of funky. Gives a little more color. And I don't know, maybe you think it's snow. I'm not sure. The Dr. Phil's will get a little thick, so be a little careful when you're doing it. So those are the white I'm going to put on it for now. And the Dr. Phil's is a little harder to splatter. So when I do it, I'm going to try to show you here. I only have a little teeny spot here, and I basically drop a little on and some clean water and make it really, really runny. And then I do the splattering. And the white really is only going to have to be done towards the top. I'm going to try not to do quite as much as I did on that one with that. That will take care of your white. And if you don't like the white on the ornament like that, you could pick a different color. You could do black. You could do your, you could do a copper. You could do brown. Anything to kind of give shading with the gold. If you have a set that's got another shimmer, you could do that. Sorry. And now we're going to do a little more splattering. We're going to go back to that red. And I'm going to try to, I think it's not dry. I would like some darker. Kind of being like the ornament is what my goal was. And the darker green, kind of like my leaves. Remember to get a little bit of color up top here where you've got all the contrast, because it looks kind of cool, but try not to get it over your berries as much as I did that last time. Got a bit a little more red up here. I can get it. I think that looks good. Now we're going to do the gold, and I'm actually going to splatter that first. So I think if we're going to have gold on here, we're going to have gold splatter. We're going to splatter every color that we painted. Only because it's cool. And you can. Now you're going to take your gold and you're going to outline. You're just going to carefully run your brush. I keep my hand on the desk, flat surface, whatever you're painting on, and just run it. I get the best lines that way. Nobody said these had to be perfect. This kind of finishes off your card. It gives it a little more. Now, you can do one of two things. You can go through the green, or you can skip it and let that be its own, that you want it so that it's not in the line. I also do some that I just put them in the line. I put lines right over them. All right. So there's the cards so far. Now I'm going to take the one that I did a little earlier. I'm going to swap here a minute. So this one's dry. I'm going to let that one dry. And I'm going to add the words on the bottom in. I've been writing it for quite a while, so I'm pretty confident in doing my writing. But we're going to do Mary. And I apologize, but I cannot talk and write. Because I got the line on the bottom, it's pretty easy to stay within the same lines. The other thing I could have done, I bought a nice stamp that says Merry Christmas. That works on all my cards as well. But when I do a card, I like to say I'm going to give it my touch. I just about ran out. And sign my name. And there is a card. Again, I'm going to use my green cardstock. I'm going to put that on there. To dress this one up, I probably will do something on this order. I've got some green with some gold. I just put a strip of it there, not to cover the whole background, just to pull a little color out. I don't think I'm going to put more color under the whole thing. And in this case, it looks really nice on the green. I might just do it just like that and glue it down. And the card is ready to go. So there is a easy Christmas card. It's fun. Each one's going to look a little different. This one, I ended up taking some of the white to put white on it. This one, it turned out so good, I don't have to add more white. The white space stayed where I want it to. Happy with that. So every one will turn out a little different. I wanted to show you the one I did in green. Don't put it on this green card, that looks terrible. But this is actually green, and this one was really fun colors to do. I did this with a blue green, a green green, a lime green actually, and let the colors play with the blues and the greens a little bit more on the ornament and then on the background. So it was just something a little different. But that is your cards for today. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great holiday.